Awesome. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another RepPath podcast. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about a hot topic that is definitely getting more and more interest as we get farther away from the post-COVID world, the old school face-to-face interactions. Obviously, they're priceless, but they're getting tougher and tougher. So today we're going to talk about uh, digital selling, digital detailing and remote selling. Okay, this is very important, guys. So before we get into the topic, though, as always, please make sure if you want to see any of this content or any previous podcasts or any other content that I put out there, please make sure that you're joining my YouTube channel. It's a free channel. You get unlimited content. It's unfiltered medical sales coaching. And also, we're very excited because we have our next class for the RepPath Academy, which will be starting on Tuesday, September 9th. So that's next Tuesday. So if you need any more information about the RepPath Academy and how you can become a member, please DM me or shoot me an email at joe@reppath.com. You can click the link to give you more information. So thank you for that, James, and we can discuss and talk more about the academy. But very excited for that and the next upcoming class. So today, guys, what we want to talk about again is digital detailing and remote selling. All right, and so why is this important? Why should we be talking about this? Why aren't we talking about just getting face to face with customers? And this is something that a lot of companies struggle with, especially, you've been in the industry as long as I have. And for individuals a lot older, it's hard to it's hard. Change sucks, basically. Change is difficult. So to constantly adjust and adapt to this new sales environment, which is here, you can't fight it, guys. You got to embrace it. You got to go with the times. If you're going to be stuck in the old world where you only talk to doctors when you're face to face, you're going to fall behind and you're not going to hit your number. So you have to get with the program and start adjusting to the modern times. So why do we need digital detailing? Okay, so it has gotten incredibly difficult to sell. Now, the three main spaces that we sell in medical sales is the office space, surgery centers, and hospital space. Now, each one has gotten more and more difficult over the years. Hospital space right now is nearly impossible to walk into a hospital. And this is what we did 25 years ago. You literally put scrubs on, walked into a hospital, you signed in at the front desk or at security, and you walked in and did whatever you want. Literally, all you had to do was have the courage to stand outside an operating room, and you would wait for your surgeon to get done, or you'd wait in the lounge and wait for surgeons to come in and out, and then you would just sit and talk to them about your product. Now it's changed drastically. So for a lot of you on this call that have the experience, this is nothing new to you. But for a lot of you reps out there that are looking to break into this industry, or reps that are in the industry and want to get into hospital sales, here's a couple important factors that you need to know of what the environment is. And number one, you have to be vendor credentialed. So you're like, what the hell does that mean? Okay, so basically you sign up with a company and get all your credentials filled out. VendorMate, Simpler, these are two of the more common vendor credentialing companies. But basically, when you walk into a hospital, there'll be a kiosk that you have to sign into, and it'll be, say, if it's VendorMate. VendorMate is the credentialing company that you have to sign up with. You have to make sure that you have all your vaccinations done. You have to have all your hospital testing that's required, whether it's bloodborne pathogens, whether it's HIPAA, whatever the tests are. You have to have all that up to date on top of all your personal information that you have to have submitted. And believe me, guys, there's always a new requirement that they're sending out there that you could be walking into a case, not be fully vendor credentialed. Because if you're missing one requirement, it's going to say, when you type in your name and password, it's going to say failed. And there's nothing you could do at that point. You could try to submit your paperwork right there on the spot. Sometimes it takes time for them to upload it and verify the information. So you could very well not be allowed into that case because you don't have your vendor credentialing updated. It's very important. So even when you're updated, you sign in, you have all your credentials. It has a green go sign. You're allowed to get in that hospital. All right. You're still not technically allowed to walk past security because now you have to have an appointment where the doctor or someone in his or her staff has you allowed to come in at whatever time it is. If it's 12 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock, then they need that to actually give you access. So you can have your update. You can be vendor credentialed. You can have everything taken care of. You can even have a surgery booked for 2 o'clock. It's 1:30 or 2. The doctor or staff forgot to enter you in. You're not getting in that hospital. Now it's that real. So this is the extreme of how difficult it's gotten to even play. You're not even getting in front of a doctor yet. This is just getting into the hospital. So this is why digital detailing and remote selling is very important. Don't look at it as I'm being lazy because I'm home sending an email or doing a webinar and I got shorts on. I don't have my scrubs or I don't have my suit or business casual attire. I'm not working as hard because I'm not actually going out there and trying to get in front of physicians. No, that's not the case, guys. It's all about getting effective messaging to your customers, providing solutions. I don't care how you have to do it. I don't care if you have to fly one of those planes over the beach that have promoting a bar or a restaurant, or a guy that, is getting engaged to his girl that says, will you marry me? I don't care what it is. Get the messaging across to your doctors. And if you don't adapt to the current landscape, again, you're going to fall behind. So that's why it's important. The access, guys, is nearly impossible. It wasn't like this years ago. You could walk into doctors' offices. You worked into surgery centers. You got time with doctors. That has changed drastically. And then after COVID really put the nail in the coffin. So it became much, much more difficult after COVID in an already difficult environment. So the solution, though, is to learn to keep your car in the garage. Now, a lot of managers and companies, that's going to piss them off that I say that because they always want you in the field. But trust me, guys, the managers and companies that are progressive and they're with the times, they're going to want you to do that. They want you to sell smarter. Working hard just by driving around, that's not effective. Okay, it's about getting your messaging across. So this is why we need digital detailing. This is why we need to learn how to sell remotely. Okay. So basically, what does that mean? What's digital detailing? So this is e-detailing, webinars, video calls, video messaging, using all the multimedia platforms that you can use, either LinkedIn, obviously email, but LinkedIn, social media, if it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you're using to get your messaging across, believe me, it's the best way to sell. Because one of the things, the key benefits is the number of physicians you can reach in a short amount of time. And this isn't just about sending out an e-blast, but I had territories where I covered half the nation. Literally, I had a team covering the whole country, but I also had a team covering half the nation. And I was a player coach. So I was out there a lot, helping my team, doing whatever we can. It's impossible to get to a good number of doctors and get your messaging across when you're face to face. So don't look at it as I'm not being effective. You're being more effective. When you master this messaging with your clinicians, and then you're able to get that out there, you're going to be able to, the only way to get it out to the masses is by digital detailing, is by selling remotely. You're never going to be able to drive state to state and call on, 50, 100 doctors when you could do that at the press of a button. Okay. Believe me, guys, that is where we're headed. So you have to embrace it. So it's the outreach, the number of physicians that you're reaching is key. Number two, it's the convenience. It's not about the convenience for you. Yeah, it's convenient to sit home in your pajamas, your t-shirt, or whatever you're wearing and send out messages and not have to put a suit on, but it's the convenience for the clinician. How many times have you, done an overnight or traveled hours with an appointment with a doctor, and you get there and the doctor's like, "Joe, I'm sorry, today's a bad day," and you really want to pull your hair out, you want to freak out, and the doctor is not bullshitting you. They're being honest. "Joe, I look at my waiting room. I had an emergency. I had two people call out sick. I actually had a patient, get rushed to the emergency room. All these things really happen. So the doctor really can't see you." Okay. Now what? Now you just spent money for airfare if you did fly. You spent money on gas if you drove, your parking, your hotel room. These are real expenses that I would have. You're doing your per diem, going out to dinner by yourself. These are all company expenses. You get there and you got nothing out of it. It's a waste of money, guys. And this happens. So to make it more convenient, what's better for the physician if the same presentation that you were going to give in person, you have it recorded and no problem. "Doctor, I'm going to send it to you right now. What's a good time later where you're able to view this? When do you get done? Or when do you have your next break?" And make that the remote appointment. So don't give up and say, "Oh, this sucks. I just blew the night. I blew all this money. My company spent all this money. I wasted a whole day or two." No, actually have that video presentation, the same exact one you were going to give, have that ready to go and then make that a remote appointment. Now, most doctors will give you the courtesy of a follow-up because they know you came all the way out there. A lot of them will. Some won't. Some will say, "Hey, sorry, I'm busy," and you missed your chance. But to have that in your back pocket where you could still get your messaging across, and now the doctor can view that at his or her convenience. I mean, that's what's so important. When they're so busy, you think you're being effective when you cram in that presentation, when they have 30 patients in the waiting room, they got all these other things going on, but you feel good because the doctor stopped for 5 minutes and listened to you. Don't think that that was a great call, guys. When they're that busy, do you think they're really listening? Do you think they're really paying attention when they got all this stuff going on? I mean, I know I am in my own house when I'm working and I'm getting phone calls and on the phone with clients, with my candidates that I'm training, whatever I'm doing, and then my wife is asking me to do something, or I get a phone call from a friend or whatever, and they're trying to tell me something. I'm not fully paying attention. And believe me, my wife yells at me all the time for not paying attention, but it's because I'm distracted because I'm busy with stuff for work. So imagine being a physician that's dealing with this. You're trying to sell them a new medical device or talk to them about a new drug. How much is really being, really resonating with the doctor and really sinking in during those times? And the answer is most of the time, there's nothing or very little that they can actually remember within the next 3 hours later. Never mind a couple of days from now when a patient comes in that actually is a perfect candidate for your product. So having that on hand and every rep out there, this is a lesson, guys. If you don't have your presentation on video, and I'm not talking about a company video that they made in marketing, I'm talking about you presenting the product. Get a setup, get a tripod, whatever you need, get your phone and do your presentation just like you're in front of the doctor. Even have some of the typical objections, put them in there, but you want to make it concise, guys. Don't do a half-hour video. Nobody's listening to that. Realistically, if it's something difficult, it does take a little time, but you should be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. 10 minutes, absolutely tops, would get your messaging across. Because typically after that, you're going to lose them. Videos are very effective, but most doctors aren't going to sit there at a half hour at a clip watching a presentation. They're just not. So keep it concise. But everyone out there, if you don't have this already, make sure you're making a video of your presentation. It's great to see, because the first video you shoot, you're going to think it sucks. You're going to hate it. All right. I know how I am. I mean, I still hate a lot of the material that I post. I'm still not happy with it. But if you see some of my first videos, I mean, it's laughable. So get those first couple of videos out of the way, because it's going to help you in your presentations anyway, because you're going to see how you look and how it looks like when you're presenting. And you're going to find a lot of flaws that you need to work on. You're going to say a lot of things over and over that you're like, wow, I didn't realize I keep saying that. So it's a great way to fine tune your selling anyway. But make sure that you have those videos in your back pocket ready to go. Next is personalizing the messaging. Okay. This is a great opportunity, guys, to take a breather and not just jump in front of doctors. A lot of us, I'm guilty of this too. I go in there, your heart's racing because the doctor's busy. He doesn't really like you that much. He's kind of a nasty doctor. And it's just to get 5 seconds with them is an accomplishment. So a lot of times you get flustered and you're not that prepared, and you're just shooting out, verbal diarrhea of whatever you're talking about with your product. This is an opportunity to really fine tune your messaging, really personalize it for that physician. Take your time to research the doctor, research what they're using, if they're doing a certain procedure or different types of procedures. Where are they published? What are different cases that they're doing? I mean, all this data is available. If you're checking the CMS data, if you're checking just the studies that they're published with. I mean, all this stuff you can find online, guys. Get as much info as possible. It's great to know that they're a Jets fan or an Eagles fan or whatever it is. That's great. That's not going to help you sell. It's good in the middle of a lunch and then you guys bullshit a little bit, talk about the game last night. They really want to know what's really important is what they really care about, that can help their patients. That's the most important thing. And the more that you know that, and then you can personalize your messaging where it's structured, where you put the time in and actually give a very personalized, well thought out message to Dr. Jones or Dr. Smith, whoever it is. Trust me, that's going to really resonate with them, because they're going to go, wow, he really knows, he did his research, put his work in. He knows that I trained at Stanford. He knows I did the studies with Dr. Buckley. I mean, it's a compliment that you're putting that much time in, guys. So use that as the opportunity to really fine tune your messaging and make sure that it's really hitting that physician's key drivers, what they really care about. And when you take the time to do this, guys, it's not going to be perfect every time, but it should be better than when the doctor walks down the hallway and you got 30 seconds, and you're just all flustered, try to get out as much information as possible. So make sure you really personalize that messaging and use your data, use your insights, guys. Everything you have, your CRM data, everything that's online, speaking with other reps on your team, everything that you can learn about that customer is vital. Okay. But if you don't do anything and take action with that data and actually apply it to your messaging, if you're stubborn and still want to use the features and benefits that have nothing to do with the key drivers of the doctor, but the company is telling you to mention these features and benefits, you're going to fail. So make it about the customer first and what they care about, and then see how your product provides a solution towards what they're looking for. And that's how you become successful. So use all the data that you have. Don't just go, oh man, I got to enter in more call notes, or I don't like even opening up Salesforce. It sucks. I don't use it. I mean, this is a lot of things that, I've said in the past, and I know other reps, they go, I know my doctors. I don't really have to put notes in. Guys, trust me. All those notes are very important, because it may not just be for you that day, but you can leave the company 6 months from now. Now, you might not care, but it is important to someone else that's taken over that can see those insights and apply them. So you want to make sure you get as much information and you're inputting it into your CRM because it may not be vital to you, but it's vital for the next person, and you don't want to walk into a new environment yourself where someone didn't care about entering in the right data for you. Because if they're doing it for you, then you want it. If you're doing it for other people, obviously you want it done for you too. Okay. Because it's going to help you out in the future. So utilize all your resources and then come up with messaging that is directly impactful for that physician and going after their key drivers, and it's going to work. Okay. The last topic I wanted to talk about before we get into Q&A from the audience is the future of this, guys. So don't be intimidated or don't fight the future. That's the best piece of advice I can give, guys. I mean, I am not tech savvy, not at all. But over the years, I've learned that I can't fight this. I used to say social media, why do I need social media? I'm in medical sales. I work with doctors all day long and patients. It doesn't matter about social media. And I was so wrong, and especially owning my own company, social media is everything. You can't make the impact and the outreach without doing all these things. You don't want to fight technology and say, well, this is how I always did it, and I was successful in my past. It doesn't matter, guys. The times have changed. If you don't use all these resources, number one, other people are, so you're going to fall behind. And number two, it has changed so much that if you take someone that's as senior as I am, has been in the field almost 25 years, and I do the same techniques that I did 25 years ago, I'm just not going to be able to be as impactful. So you want to embrace this. This is AI, digital detailing, all the resources out there. Don't look at it as that this is supplementing what a rep does. It's not. It's to complement what you do. Okay. It's another tool in your bag. When a company, reps always get excited when a new detail aid came out, a new marketing piece. And especially when it was a well-done one, reps geek out over that. I mean, I used to love it. I'm like, oh man, I know doctors are going to love this. They're going to eat this up. So why wouldn't you treat digital detailing the same way? To sit here and go, wait a minute, if I create this video, it took me 6 months to get in front of Dr. Jones. 6 months. And these are real case studies. These are real things that have happened to me in the past and for the candidates I work with. Taking them months to get a message across to a doctor. Months, because they got face-to-face with them. Great. What if you did have their email? What if you did send them a message on LinkedIn, or any other social media platform and got that same presentation and sent it to them? You just save months of work. You also save the company a lot of money because when you factor in how long it took and how much money it costs between parking, traveling, everything, your salary, everything that costs for a rep to work, it's that much money that it costs just to get that messaging across because you were stubborn and you wanted to wait to get in front of the doctor. No, this is just another tool. And it's also not to replace what you've done in the past too. So for some of you out there, I don't want you to think I'm saying, guys, throw out your scrubs, get rid of your suits. You don't even have to go into work anymore. You're working from your house from now on. No, that's ridiculous. But you want to be smart. You also don't want to say, well, I can't see Dr. Jones because he works at a Hackensack and I have no access in Hackensack. So he's an OC doctor. It's the last thing a company wants to hear. And that's the last thing you should be saying because that's the wrong attitude. Okay. Now, if you can't see them in person for whatever restrictions they have, you still have to figure out, okay, what's the next step to get my messaging across? All right. So embrace all this stuff, guys. Believe me, the more that you use this, the better that you get with all this technology, the more successful you're going to be in your careers. I'm going to pause right now. I know we're about 25 minutes in. James, if we have any questions from the crowd.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and if Joe can make this happen with tech, anybody can.
Knew that was coming.
I almost jumped in when it happened.
I know. I know. I didn't want to say it.
But yeah, if Joe can figure it out, everybody should be able to.
Exactly.
Have you seen higher or lower close rates when reps go digital?
I see lower close rates. And you're going to say, well, what the hell did you just say all that for? And but here's the difference. You're going to be able to reach more people. Okay. So if I can get in front of a doctor, if that's what we're comparing, what's a better close rate? Face to face with a physician or sending a 5-minute video? Of course, the closing rate is going to be higher when you're face to face. But what does it mean if you can't get in front of the doctor? That's a fail. You will never, if they will never see you face to face, then it's zero. Your success rate will be zero unless you figure it out and how to sell remotely. So you might see, say, if you're in front of 5 doctors or 10 doctors, or let's say 100, you're in front of 100 doctors face to face, and you might close 40 to 50% of those calls. Okay, now we're assuming you're calling on the right doctors and all that stuff, and these are doctors that actually can use your product, as opposed to sending out 100 video messages to doctors, right? But the pros are, I just did that in 2 seconds. I clicked the button and it went out to 100 doctors. Or if I personalize each one, yeah, it's going to take me more time, but that's much quicker than even driving around the territory that's one state. Never mind going state to state to state, where you're not going to be able to get in front of these people. So you're going to save a lot of time. You're going to save your company a lot of money, and you're going to expand that outreach much, much faster. So at the end of the day, sales will come in quicker by utilizing this as opposed to just depending on face-to-face.
Okay. What platforms are reps using for digital detailing? Viva, Showpad, or something else?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one key takeaway that I want everyone to do, because it's simple, and that's creating that video message. Personalize it to whichever doctor you're calling on. You might even bring up a little anecdotal, like, I know you trained from Stanford, or I read all your studies, which I thought were amazing about XYZ. So I felt that this is something that you would be interested in. Here's why. And then get into your little product demonstration. Just giving that little intro and personalizing it to the doctor, and then following up with your presentation, that's key. So that's all I want anyone to do from this call, is have that created, because I would say more than half of you do not have a video created. Not the video from the company. I'm talking about from you. They want to get to know you. So personalize it for those doctors, shoot a video, and then either send an email, send it via LinkedIn. I don't care what you use. Just get it to that doctor. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a positive response, because the click rate someone actually watching a video versus reading the script of that presentation or reading a study is over 70% more likely when they're actually opening up a video. They're more likely to click that than to open up a link where they have to read something. So that's what's exciting about this. So if you start using this, I'm telling you guys, in a couple of months, you're going to be thanking me saying, wow, Joe, I can't believe I just was going with the old school mentality, waiting to see doctors, or just sending out company information where, obviously you want to make sure it's okay with your company, whatever you're sending out, and that you got to discuss with them. But for the most part, as long as you're sticking to the appropriate talk track and talking about the key things that the companies allow you to talk about, but you're personalize it to that physician, you're going to be successful. So make that a goal after you see this podcast, that you're making your own video.
Joe, how do you re-engage a provider who ghosted you after a virtual detailing session?
Yeah, well, first off, it's just like how you would if a doctor ghosted you, which they do every day. I mean, doctors, literally, you're not in sales unless you've been ghosted constantly. I mean, even territories where I felt I had tremendous relationships and I was doing really well, there's still tons of doctors out there that don't see you. So you don't want to stress and get frustrated and get mad at yourself. How come this doctor is not getting back to me? Number one, guys, you're not going to win everyone over. So don't lose sleep over the doctors that are consistently ghosting you. The other thing that I would ask is, did you send one video email or one video conference that they didn't make? Okay, so what? Now if you have 5, 8, 10 meetings that they're constantly canceling, all right, now guys, it's time to move on. You're not gonna waste all this time with someone that doesn't want to see you. It's the same as, if you're interested in dating someone and they're constantly ignoring you, you're not going to keep chasing after them. You'll know in your gut, in your heart, like, okay, I'm wasting my time to move on to other people. But the beauty of this is that they could ghost you, but 5 other doctors at the click of a button can actually find value in your messaging. So those are the ones you want to focus on. So that's something, there's no exact number, but if someone's ghosting you once, who cares? But it's over and over and over again, and there's no other way, and you tried everything, remote, in person, everything, guys, just move on to somebody else. There's plenty of doctors out there that, if everyone, the 80-20 rule is real. So if it can only take 20% of your doctors in your territory for you to be a rock star, it could sometimes take one doctor that makes you a rock star. So when you talk to the high performing reps, see them, speak to them, and see how many doctors they actually have that are big, high users. You're going to see it's only a couple, and some of them are monsters. And that's what gets them to be, high performing rep for the company. So focus on where you could get the business, and don't worry about the ghosting from a couple doctors.
How do you build credibility remotely if you're a new rep and don't have deep product knowledge yet?
Yeah, like anything else, it takes time, guys. Again, the face-to-face, there's nothing as valuable as face-to-face. So I still encourage everyone to try to get in front of their doctors, to try to go out there and get time with them, because when you're sitting there face-to-face, a 5-minute meeting turns into 20 minutes, sometimes turns into an hour. You never know. That's the one drawback about a digital detail, is that, unless it's a video conference, a webinar, that you could kind of get into a longer call. But when you're sending video messages, obviously it's going to be as long as that message is, but the key is you want to have the consistency and continue to do this. When you're a new rep, yes, it's harder, but that's the job, is that you got to go out there and continue to build relationships. All the friends that you have in your life, it didn't happen overnight. It takes time to build relationships. So it doesn't matter whether it's sales or your personal life or whatever it is. You just got to be consistent. Continue to get up and go to work. Most people, excuse me, if they, with a lot of sales reps, I'm going to shock people with this, but there's a lot of lazy reps out there that they go in the field only a couple days a week. For most reps, half the battle is just getting up and going out there and just figuring it out. Just get in your car every day and driving to places, sending that messaging out to doctors, but being consistent, whether you're doing it remotely or in person, but constantly delivering that message, you're going to be successful. But just be patient, because it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time. In a new territory, it's going to take minimum 6 to 9 months for you to get a little comfortable. And then typically during that, a year and a half to second year in, is where you really start to see those relationships really start to come to fruition and the business start to get there.
Joe, do doctors want remote detailing, or are we forcing a digital experience on them?
I mean, again, it depends on the physician, but I'd say overall 100%. They're just, if digital detailing bothers them too, then there's something wrong with that physician. If they don't want either one, they don't want you in their office because you're wasting their time, and don't waste my time with a digital detail, well, then they don't care about staying up to date with current products. And that's not the case, guys. Majority of the time, when they're busy, they want you to respect their time. When you're with your manager, and this is going to happen, guys, where you have to be smart, and this is where it's tough when you're with your manager. You know that this doctor is legitimately busy and can't take 2 minutes out today. And you feel it. You see him sweating. You see the office packed. There's a ton of shit going on. Don't force him to listen to a message just because your manager's there. Trust me, I know it's uncomfortable because your manager's looking at you like, well, how come you didn't say anything? Don't make it uncomfortable. That's from my experiences. It's more important to recognize and respect the physician's time. And you don't want to just walk out of there without getting a commitment for another time, or maybe you can come back in an hour, or maybe at the end of the day, but showing them that you respect their time and respect how busy they are right now. And now is not the right time, because at the end of the day, guys, when you just force down a message when someone's busy, like I said earlier, it's not penetrating anyway. So you could, if your manager doesn't understand that, then they shouldn't be a manager, really. Just because you're checking off a box, you don't want to do that. So make sure that you're respecting their time, and it's not going to matter whether it's in front of them or detail or remotely. If you're respecting their time, they're going to want to see that messaging later. So the answer to the question is yes, they want to see the video messaging overall.
We got. Have you ever lost a big deal because you didn't meet in person?
Ever lost a big deal? I mean, it's difficult to answer. Yes, if I couldn't, there's many deals that I wanted to, for instance, get in front of certain doctors that did a procedure that my product could support, but I can never get in front of them. And I know that if I get their business, it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars for the company a month. So technically, yeah, I've lost many deals because I never got in front of the doctor. I was never able to deliver my message. So yeah, I mean, that happens, but that's not a failure, because you're not going to sell to everyone, like I said earlier. So it's more about trying everything to get your messaging across. Of course you want to get in front of them, but if, like I said, if you can't get in front of them, they won't allow you to even send a message. They're not responding to anything visual. You move on to the people that will listen. So don't look at it as, oh, I didn't get that deal because I couldn't close so-and-so. Worry about who you can close and capitalize
on. How do you make remote detailing feel human and not like a webinar?
And that's what we were talking about earlier about personalizing it. I mean, you guys see when you send an email, it takes an extra second to write down James or Bob or Susan, as opposed to just having the body of the email and cut and paste and sending it out to everyone. We're doing a mass email and not putting a person's name. I mean, those little seconds that it takes to add a person's name, create a little bit more personalization. Now, say you actually put something in there that is relevant to something they care about. You're talking about a study that they just were a part of, or a procedure that they really care about. It's not anything. And just throwing that in there into the messaging, that's going to help personalize it and make it feel like you are face to face. But what does more important, it shows them that you put the work in. It shows that you did the research, that you actually care, that you want to put the effort in, because trust me, guys, there are reps doing this. So you don't want to fall behind them, but there's also a lot of reps that don't. So you definitely don't want to get in that bucket where you're the salesman. You want to get out of being a salesman and being an actual asset, where you're seen as a partner. And this happens a lot, especially in the med device space, where when you're with them a lot and you're in cases and you help them navigate through difficult procedures, and provide real insight that helps their patients, you go from being a salesman to a partner and an asset. And that's the key.
Are you still using LinkedIn DMs or to book remote calls, or has that gotten saturated?
No, I definitely still do it. It's still effective. And again, I do whatever it takes to get my messaging across, whatever that is. So some of you that are on my email blast, some of you that get messages via LinkedIn, some of you I text, call, or set up a lunch or a breakfast to meet up in person with some of my clients. Whatever it is, I will do to get my messaging across.
We have. Do you recommend going remote first and then trying to get FaceTime, or the other way around?
I mean, you could do both, but I mean, simply getting in front of a doctor, getting an appointment set up. I mean, I used to be very old school with, I would drive to every office. And I learned that that's a, stupid old school way of thinking. You know, just getting in your car and driving around, yeah, that's not the answer. I'm not saying not to do that, but if you could also make the phone is pretty effective with calling up an office and seeing if you could get an appointment for next week, or set up a lunch or a breakfast. Do you really have to drive 100 miles to get in front of Susan or Jill or wherever the heck it is that's at the front desk to say, hey, I'd like to book a lunch next week? I mean, you don't, when you schedule an appointment with your doctor, do you drive there first? Most of us know. You call the office, set up the appointment. Now, if I wasn't getting if I wasn't getting, they weren't getting back to me, then yes, I would drive there. So I would start by keeping the car in the garage. You don't have to rush out there to drive around, put your suit on just to feel important. You could spend a few days in those first couple of weeks, or spend a day or two each week where you are working from home and you are getting those appointments booked. Because after the first couple of months, you should be slammed with cases, meeting with patients if that's part of the job, and appointments where you're too busy. So, the easy answer is I would get on the phone first, you know, and then if you're having issues, get in the car. But utilize both, guys. Just use your brain that if you have a 3-hour drive just to set up an appointment the first time, make the phone call first. It's just going to save you a lot of time and money.
What's one thing reps should never do on a remote call?
I mean, same as doing anything in person. You never bash a competitor. That's just number one. It's something that if it just looks bad, guys. It's just in bad taste. So whether it's remote or not, don't bash your competition. Talk about why you're the best, why your product's the best, and how it'll really benefit their patients and their practice. Because don't forget, guys, they could be using that product or that company. They could have a family member that's the rep, and that's why they use them from another company. And if you bash them, I mean, it's just you're insulting, a member of their family. Or you could be insulting a friend of theirs that they built a relationship for years. So that is key. That can make you lose an account or lose your access just like that. So remote or not, stay away from doing that.
Let's see. Dara, great insights and topics discussed, Joe. Thanks for your time today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Are managers tracking remote sales actively the same way as in person?
Well, that's a great point. So the tracking is excellent. Anything remote, you can track. I mean, you guys all know this. You could track when someone opens up your message, opens up your email, the click rate, all that stuff, which is very, very valuable. Because I remember years ago, my VP would ask me, what percentage I was reaching out to a lot of C-suite people with my prior role, because it was an expensive piece of capital equipment that multiple layers had to get the okay to purchase within a hospital. So I'm reaching out to all these people, and he would always ask me, Joe, what's the percentage of emails that you send out that you get a response? And in my head, I have no idea. I know it's low because very few would respond. Now, partly that was my product, partly that was my messaging, whatever you want to blame it on, but I didn't know the real answer. I would make something up. I would say, I don't know, 5%, 3%. In my head, I really have no clue. I don't have the time to actually look back and see how many emails I sent. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit? It's how much should I sell? That was my mentality. But now that we have that, where you can track all the data and see that this messaging, no one's opening it. I mean, I see it when I post on LinkedIn. There's sometimes I post content that is, you hear crickets. I get minimal amount of views. And then there's posts that go viral, and obviously I learn from that and then start talking about different topics because I know those are hot topics with my customers. So you can help, you can continuously adjust your messaging and keep fine tuning it, by having and utilizing that data. So take advantage and utilize and see the views you're getting, see the clicks you're getting. It makes sense. It's important because you know that when you get that right messaging, that's going to correlate into sales.
How are companies onboarding new reps to win with remote selling?
How are they onboarding new reps? I mean, it's again, for me, I would like to know. That would be one of the first questions I ask a rep. And this is a great question for all of you out there that are interviewing. A great question for managers out there because this is something that is going to get more and more important. And the question is, what do you do when you can't see a doctor? It's just that simple. It's the number one problem in medical sales. It's the biggest challenge. Everyone talks about having thick skin. Please, guys, do not say this anymore. You guys say this all the time. Joe, I'd be a great rep. I have thick skin. Nobody gives a shit. Everyone in this industry has thick skin. They wouldn't be in sales if they didn't. And if they don't have thick skin, they shouldn't be in this industry. So that's like saying I can, walk and chew gum at the same time. No, that should be a given. Now, the question is, though, what do you do when no one sees you? Now, if you come up with creative ideas or you give me previous examples of what you've done in the past, it doesn't have to be that creative sometimes, but I need to know that you really understand what the landscape is out there. Because if you say you don't have good answers for that, that's a red flag for me. That to me is more important than the resume and everything that they talk about, all their experiences, because now I know if you can't do this, then how are you going to be successful? Because I know that you're not going to get access in a lot of these accounts, and you better have a real solution for this. So that's something you guys all have to have a plan for.
Okay, we have. What's the best way to identify who the real decision maker is when you're not in the office physically?
Well, I mean, again, the phone is just as valuable. If you're on the phone with someone, you talk about your product, who do I speak to? Just straight up say it. They know why you're there, guys. They know you're there to sell something. Don't hide it. Don't pretend you're not a sales rep. The goal again in time with hard work and commitment and bringing value, you're going to be viewed as something different. But at the end of the day, you're still there to sell something. So just ask. If you can't get in front of a doctor, if you can't get to that office, who else can you speak to? Is there someone at your company that used to call on the account? Are there other reps that you work with that sell products that aren't competitive? They're not your direct competition, but they still call on those doctors. I mean, there's a lot of reps out there. If you guys aren't utilizing the other reps that work in your territory, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay. I'm not sitting here saying go become friends with all your competition. Hey, guys, most of you, these are small networks. You're going to know who your competition is. I mean, I knew in every medical sale that I called on, I knew who the top reps were. They knew me. I knew them because we're constantly fighting over business with these physicians. So it's good to know these people, but partner with the reps that are out there that aren't direct competition because they give you a lot of insight. Because there are times, guys, and this happened to me when I started years ago for selling a birth control. And one of the physicians I thought was using my product like crazy. And then I found out 6 months into it when I kept going to him and talking about the product. And I always got this weird feeling. I'm like, he doesn't seem like someone that uses this all the time. He wasn't that knowledgeable about all the benefits like someone that uses this as much as his numbers showed. Then I found out that one of his PAs was all the scripts were going under his medical license. So the PA was the one that was the big fan of my product and was prescribing it all the time. I didn't learn that until 6 months into it. So unless I actually, now get the experience and can share that information with someone else, they're going to constantly think that that one doctor is doing this and you're targeting the wrong person because the doctor really didn't care that much about the product, but the PA did. So it's one, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just don't think that that is the main decision maker. It is a lot with the name on the door. Typically, the doctor is going to be the top decision maker, but it's not always the case. So ask questions, do your research, talk to people inside and outside of the office, and get the right information.
We have are short videos still the move, or PDFs and visual decks still effective?
For me, videos. I mean, use whatever you can to get your messaging across again, guys. But I rather look and watch a video than sit there and look at a deck and a PDF. I mean, because if the video is done correctly and you're educating, I mean, there's nothing better than actual visualizing and seeing exactly how the product is used in a demonstration. So for me, the responses that I've gotten in the past, video.
We have, is there any specialty where remote doesn't work at all?
I haven't seen that. I mean, I don't know. No, it doesn't matter about the specialty.
Cool. And they followed up. They said, is the industry still sleeping on how powerful digital detailing can be?
I don't know if they're sleeping on it. I just don't think, in my opinion, that enough companies have really embraced this as much as they should. And I know that by speaking to them. And I also know that by speaking to reps. I train a lot of candidates. And when I ask them that simple question, like, what's your video detail that you have set up? Let me see that. Let me see something that if you can't get in front of a doctor, show me your video detail about your product. 90% don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Or they'll send me a video that the company sent out. And I'm not talking about that. That's not personalized. They don't see your face, the doctor. They see the company, marketing department or whoever. They have hired actors and actresses. It's almost like watching a commercial. But when they see you and you're directly speaking to them, that's the real impact. So I just think that it's something that is being adopted more and more, but nowhere near as much as it should be.
We got, how long should a remote sales presentation be before you lose the doc's attention?
I would shoot for, shorter the better. I would shoot for 3 minutes, depending on what your product is. And this is a great question too, because it comes back to knowing your doctors, knowing the background information of what they really care about. Because by doing that, you save a lot of time wasted that the full presentation can cover, say, 10 patient types. And, we'll just focus on that. Say the full presentation is talking about 10 different patient types. And you do a video demo about 10 different patient types because you don't really know much about this doctor. All right. And now it's 15 minutes long. The doctor's like this, probably checking his phone, not paying attention. After a minute or two, the video shut off. He doesn't care. Right. But if you go in there saying, hey, Dr. Jones, I know that you do studies in XYZ area. Here is the exact patient type that you're going to see. And this is why our product is going to really benefit this patient here, and go through that specific patient type. That's how you keep it short, and it's impactful because you show them that this is what they care about. That's the important thing. So focus on, I'd say 3 minutes, again, it depends on the actual presentation, how much you want to show. But if the more you know about that doctor and you say to yourself, she's only going to care about this, so that's what I'm going to focus on, then do it. And the shorter you can keep it and be concise but effective in your messaging, that's the key.
Let's see. We got Joe. What do you say when a doc goes, just email me?
I mean, again, you got to start somewhere, but you need to lock them into, is there a better time? When should I send it? I know you're getting bombarded during the day. It's the same as, setting up a meeting. You want to make sure that there's a good time to send it, but you also continue to try to get that interaction. Instead of sending an email at 6 o'clock tonight, is it okay if I shoot you a FaceTime? Send you FaceTime, and then we can jump on and I can actually show you live, just in case you have any questions. You got to try to sell here, guys, and push move the needle a little bit, because they're always can just say, hey, just send that to me, leave me the material. I mean, those are all smokescreen, guys. That means get the hell out of my face. So it's the same as them nicely shutting a door on you. Try to get that commitment for the next step, a follow-up. Or again, if you're going to send an email, if they're busy during the day and then they're telling you, oh, yeah, I'm around at 6 o'clock. Okay, can I just FaceTime you, or can we set up a webinar? No. And then they're still giving, that's a smokescreen. That means you didn't sell them enough yet. They're not convinced. So it's going to take time.
Do you coach field reps on how to not sound like a robot in your community?
100%. I mean, that's one of the great aspects of the community. Number one, guys, you're gonna go in there, and when you're by yourself, especially when you're navigating the space on either trying to break into the industry or advancing your career, a lot of times I know I felt like I was on an island, and I had mentors. Throughout my career. I had mentors at each company. I always tried to find a mentor, someone I respected, and try to emulate. And it's okay to have multiple mentors. That's great too, because you could pick up different things. But that's the beauty of the community. The RepPath Academy, when you're a part of this community, you're going to see things that are done that you never thought. You're like, oh, wow, that rep out in Arizona, I never thought to do that. I'm going to try that next time. And it's great. That's how you share ideas, and you're able to get better by seeing what else is working with other individuals. When you're by yourself in your car all day long, you feel like you're left on an island, and you don't want to feel that way. And that's the beauty of the RepPath community, because it includes you with people that are all in your situation. You're not the only one that's getting ghosted. You're not the only one that has been calling on a doctor for 6 months and they see you, but you still can't get them to use your product. And then when you hear what others have done to overcome that, then it's a great feeling, because you don't feel like you're alone. But at the end of the day, they're providing solutions that are going to help you in the field.
We got what kind of training do reps need to be successful in digital detailing?
I mean, it's not rocket science, guys. The key right now is, if you have a cell phone and you could take a video and do a presentation just to start. I mean, you could even start just by introducing yourself. A doctor, if you called on a doctor 10 times, dropping your card off, dropping detail aids and marketing material, and you have their email or on LinkedIn or whatever resource you want to do, where you could just introduce yourself. Hey, Dr. Jones, I'm Joe Licata. I'm the representative from XYZ company. We're here to support you and your patients for blah, blah, blah disease state, and give a quick little 30-second spiel just to introduce yourself. I would love to finally be able to set up a meeting. I've called on you multiple times. I know you're very busy, but we'd love to see if I could get in there next week. If you can just shoot me a message back, that would be great. I don't know, something simple, guys. But even if you just have that, you're going to see that's beneficial, because at the end of the day, you don't want to give in to say, that's an OC doctor, I'm just giving up because you can't get in front of them face to face. You got to be able to master these other things. It's not, again, James makes fun of me all the time about not being tech savvy. You don't have to be that tech savvy. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Just start with your cell phone and shoot a video.
I can confirm that. And last question I got, do you think remote selling will replace in-person selling in med device, or is this just a supplement?
This is to use to complement what you're already doing. That's it. You want to be able to just keep expanding on. It's another tool in your bag. It's just that simple, guys. But you have to embrace it. It's not replacing you. We all don't know where we're going to be in 20 years with AI and all new technology that comes out there. I know we all think that everything's going to be a robot walking around and we're not going to be doing anything anymore. Again, but the worst thing you can do is fight it. So embrace all this, get good at it. Even something as simple as ChatGPT, most of us, and I didn't even know what it was a year ago, never used it, didn't care, thought it was stupid, thought it was another search engine. But the more that you get better at using it, it saves you time with a lot of your tasks throughout the day, helps you get organized. So just something like that, I don't look at that as the enemy that's going to replace me. It's actually making me a better business owner and helping me with content, with daily tasks. And it's another tool in my bag that makes me a better sales professional. Just that simple.
And that's all I got for you today, Joe.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for making fun of me again.
Of course, I'm always here for that. I'm always here for that.
But, and again, guys, thank you all for joining. I hope you found value in this. Again, if it's just as simple as creating that video and I get enough people to do that, even if one of you do that today, this is a win for me with this call. A couple of housekeeping, please, for any of you that are looking for additional training, I'm very excited about the new class starting September 9th, next Tuesday, with the RepPath Academy. So for any of you that are struggling out there, beating your head up against, banging your head against the wall, that you can't break into this industry, you're getting ghosted, I can't get interviews, or I get interviews and I'm not getting any offers, please reach out to me so we can get you signed up for the RepPath Academy in this upcoming class. James, if you can pop that link up again, I appreciate it. Thank you. And for any of you that are on the call, any lobby members, that want to get additional discounts, please provide the promo code Licata, Licata, so you can get additional discounts. And moving forward, again, guys, every Monday and Wednesday at 3 p.m., we'll be doing these calls. We're doing these podcasts. But if there's any information, anything else that you want to get from me, feel free to send me a DM or shoot me an email at joe@reppath.com, and we'll be able to discuss any of your challenges. Thank you again, guys, and have a great week.
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you. And my again, as always, my YouTube channel is Unfiltered Medical Sales Coaching. Please subscribe to that. It's free. And you also can get more insights to the type of content that we produce out there, so it can make you more comfortable when you sign up for the RepPath Academy.